Okay, welcome to a video on a little review of algebra. You should have this worksheet, so let's take a look at a couple of these. And one thing we want to look at is writing the point-slope formula is probably one of the most preferred and the easiest way, especially in calculus, to write equation of a line. So the formula looks like this. It's y minus y1 equals the slope times the differences in the x's, right? Alright, and this formula is really just the slope formula if you rearrange it, right? If you have this expression on the left, your y's minus your y's, and it's equal to the slope if you divide by this quantity over here. So if I can highlight that for you. If you divide this quantity here, then you will in fact have the slope formula. So let's just move on. Okay, and so the first problem we have here is they want us to put it in point slope, and they're giving us a slope. So it's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to just call this, we'll call this first point. That's our x coordinate, and of course there's our y coordinate, so it's y minus our 1, and the slope is equal to 1, so it's just x minus the negative 2. Okay, hopefully that one's not anything too difficult, so you could clean it up a little bit and just leave it like x plus 2. And if you want to, you could stick that 1 out in front as well. So anyway, hopefully that is pretty fresh in your brain from last year. So let's take a look at another equation. This one will be very similar. They want it in slope-intercept form. So that's just your y equals mx plus b. And so the first step, of course, would be to recognize that we need to find the slope. So let's just do that real quick. So the slope of this equation are these 2 points. The differences in the y's, we have 5 minus 2. Since we subtracted 5 first, for the y coordinate we're going to use the 0 minus 1, and we get 3 over negative 1. So the slope of this is equal to negative 3. And then we can choose either one of these 2 points, either the first coordinate point or the second, to plug it back into our point slope if we were going to do that. But in this case we need the slope y-intercept. So it looks like this is the point we want to use because the y-intercept has an x-coordinate of 0, correct? So we would just simply put y equals negative 3x, positive 5. Okay, let's take a look at number 5. Perhaps we won't do a whole lot of explanation about it, but we will talk about a couple of terms that you may or may not be familiar with. Well, first of all, let's just take a picture of the graph and then we can erase it. If we have a graph and we have 2 lines, and let's say you have a red line that's going up here, has some positive slope, let's say it's positive 3, and then you have this green line here, has a positive slope of 3 also, but it has a different y-intercept, correct? So because they have 2 separate y-intercepts, but they have the same slope, they're going to be parallel. So parallel slopes, they share, parallel lines share the same slope. So one little acronym I've seen before is pass and port. Don't know where I saw that, but pass stands for parallel lines have the same slope, and the port is perpendicular, have opposite reciprocals. So this will come in handy in a minute. Now let's take a look at the same graph here, and let's make a perpendicular line and make a couple observations. Let's see if I can reconstruct this and make our red line go back something like so. And now our green line is going to be perpendicular. So perpendicular line will cut through there, and of course it forms the right angles at its intersection point. And what do you notice? Well, the red line looks like it's fairly steep. Remember, we said the red line had a slope of 3 in our hypothetical graph that we drew. And so what would its green perpendicular slope be? The reciprocal, 1/3, and if one's positive, the other one has to be negative. So hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory. So we're using point slope formula again in these problem sets, so we're going to just basically steal that slope out of this form, and the slope is equal to 9/4. Since the two lines are parallel, we're going to use the exact slope of that. So putting it in to the equation, it would just be y minus 4 equals 9/4 x minus 4. And that's pretty much all you need to do on that. Alright, so there's a series of problems that are dealing with that, so it should be pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at the next page. The next page wants us to kind of graph the functions. It doesn't say whether you can use calculator or not. So let's just do a little factoring practice, and then